All right, folks, we are back with another XRP market update. I wanted to give everybody a warning and an opportunity to bounce out if $1,000 XRP price predictions do offend you, if they trigger you, if it's too much to handle. I want to give everybody the warning that we will be talking about those $1,000 XRP price predictions in this video. So if you need to check out, if you need to smack it, tap it, feel free to do so. But for the real ones, stick around. We got a nice little update here for you guys. Market holding up well, and we continue to see inflows coming in on Ethereum and the altcoins right now. $1 billion worth of Ethereum bought by Tom Lee. He's coming to eat it all up, and the rotation from Bitcoin into Ethereum has begun. If you've been looking for some exit liquidity on Ethereum, you know, a saving grace of Tom Lee and some of these other Ethereum crypto treasury companies, along with just broader exposure through the ETFs, that is happening now. So if you've been looking for some exit liquidity on ETH, it has arrived. Hopefully you weren't exit liquidity on Solana. Maybe this is why so many people are leaving the casino. Total DEX traders on a daily basis on Solana here, falling off a cliff. The casino over there at Solana not holding up. And the problem here is that we need to call this out and we need to get rid of it. The failures of the industry right here on display. And it's the insiders, the pump and dumps, the scammers. They're running reckless still, right? Infiltrate big launches, get in early and extract millions. It's happening in plain sight and no one is stopping it. Now, we just had a judge unfreeze 57 million in USDC tied to the Libra collapse. Remember, that was the coin that was tied to the Argentina president, Javier Milei. Hayden Davis was the pumper behind that one, right? One of them, one of the snipers. And the next day, right, Davis, he snipes the YZY launch. That's the Yeezy, right? The Kanye coin. And he makes 12 million. So the judge unfreezes his 57 million from pumping and dumping Libra, and then he takes it straight over to the Yeezy launch and he snipes and makes a quick 12 million. Nassim, a network of snipers tied to Nassim, famous for making 100 million on Trump, was first to buy the Yeezy coin. These snipers are consistently first printing millions. It's the Solana pump cabal. Sahil, behind many celebrity tokens, launched a Tyson Fury scam token on Zora and tricked Coinbase execs into engaging, giving it extra attention. All of these cases show a systemic failure in law enforcement and user protection. We need to be calling it out. We need to be exposing it. And it's time for you to probably full port to the XRP ledger if you're tired of getting rinsed and repeated over there on Solana. Now, what's interesting here is you got Wendy O recognizing the demand for XRP. And it's funny because when I started making content on TikTok 4 years ago in 2021, Wendy was one of the, crypto folks out here who I thought was not really sharing the truth about XRP, right? My motivation for getting on TikTok was to share the truth about XRP. Wendy and others was part of this group that was constantly fudding XRP. But I will note, she always said that she had an XRP moon bag, and even she understands the power of the XRP army. She says, I do not think that most of you understand what will happen when the XRP spot ETFs get approved. It is retail's favorite coin. And she's retweeting Nate Garassi, who's commenting on over at the CME, how the XRP contracts broke the record, the fastest ever contract to cross over 1 billion in open interest. And so the rotation is here. That's why I highlight what's taking place in Solana, the active daily traders falling off a cliff. Where are they going to go? Real utility. And if they do want to continue trading memes, they can come do so on the XRP ledger now. When it comes to Ethereum, the rotation is on, and this is the final last gasp for Ethereum this bull run. Take advantage of it right now. But you slide on over, right? Where's the next opportunity? I think people that aren't going to be biased, who are going to be honest with themselves, can see what's coming for XRP, which is ETFs, crypto treasury companies, and then broader institutional adoption at scale. Now, from time to time, I do like to take a look here at the XRP rich list. Please don't comment in the comments down below how much XRP you have. You don't need to make that public, but it is fascinating to note how the numbers have come down. To be in the top 10% of XRP holders, you only need 2,300 XRP now. This number used to be quite a bit higher. Top 5%, 8,300 XRP. 4%, you need 10,000 XRP. To be in the top 1% of holders, you only need 50,000 XRP now. 0.5%, you're looking at 96,000. And to be in the 0.1% of XRP holders, you only need 350,000 XRP at this point. The 0.01% category, you're up there over 6 million in XRP. So it's just interesting to note, with more and more people coming into the XRP family, that number's dropping. So for those of you guys that stacked up a bag of 50,000, you used to be, not, in the 2% category. Now you find yourself in the top 1% of XRP holders if you have over 50,000 XRP. Right? So, God bless the XRP family that got in early and took advantage of this. The headwinds have now shifted into tailwinds. More people are jumping on board. And in the inflows from retail, ETFs, crypto treasuries, and broader institutional adoption are simply just going to take this asset to much higher prices. Now, this is a viral clip being shared right now. Dom, Phil from EZA. And remember, they are working closely with Ripple. Ripple has completely signed off with these guys, right? And Ripple doesn't just work with anybody. If you get, a partnership with Ripple, you have been highly vetted, okay? And the fact that these guys are partnered up with Ripple, and Ripple hasn't come out and said, whoa, guys, stop, hold up. You can't talk about $1,000 XRP, Dom. Phil, we got to rein this thing back in. Ripple hasn't done that, not that we know of. And I haven't seen anything that shows me that they've, whispered in their ear, because Dom and Phil are not backing away. Now, in this clip, which I'm not going to play, it's about 2 minutes of them explaining, they really don't explain that the road to $1,000 comes from any dramatic flip of the switch. They mention Swift, they mention broader adoption, but really they're just talking about the expanding utility of the XRP ledger and how everybody from retail to the biggest institutions are going to get on board. And they also predict that the XRP ETFs are going to be the most successful ETFs, even more so than Ethereum and even more so than Bitcoin. Now, that's a bold prediction as well, too. Now, between here at $3 and $1,000, it's a long ways to go. I'm excited to go on that journey. It's going to be a fun time. But this is the prediction right here from Phil. Another part of this thesis is you must be able to borrow against a store of value coin. In other words, it must be usable as collateral for loans. Otherwise, it will need to be sold. And why is that a problem? Because the whole point of a store of value coin is that we should never sell it. After all, it's going up. And see, this is the recognition by folks putting it on their balance sheet as a treasury asset, and you have big companies now doing so. We talked yesterday about how you got hedge funds like over at Digital Wealth Partners that have now amassed over $200 million worth of XRP in their fund. Right? This process is just growing. And then on top of this, you have Joe Blows like me that are also treating XRP like a reserve and are looking at how can we hold on to this asset and never have to sell it. And so when you're looking across the crypto landscape right now, I think the best opportunities is in assets that don't have their ETFs live yet, right? You have another wave of ETFs coming live in October. Investing in those projects might be a move to consider. Assets that are being treated like a reserve, from retail all the way up to crypto treasury companies, and eventually all the way up to governments and central banks too. 3, broader institutional adoption. That's going to be happening at scale after the Clarity Act passes. So if you check off all these boxes, you got an asset that's going to appreciate significantly. Now, the path to $1,000, it doesn't happen overnight, but nobody thought that Bitcoin was going to go to $1,000. Nobody thought that Ethereum would go to $1,000, right? And XRP, even if we fall very short of the $1,000 target, we still make generational wealth, right? For many of us, our lives have already been changed by just going to $3, let alone going to 5, 10, and where I think XRP ends up by next year is 20 to $30 based off the ETF inflows. Now, if Dom and Phil are correct about XRP having the most successful ETFs, that number could go even higher. I've done the math and the calculations. It's not going to take much for us to actually go up to a $50 or $100 XRP. And that's just off the ETF inflows, not all of the other DeFi, broader institutional adoption that they're talking about and building out as we speak. These guys aren't just talking about it like it's some fairy tale dream. they're actually building out this tech and putting the XRP ledger into the hands of hundreds of thousands of developers. These are the developers that are going to go work for the biggest hedge funds and institutions in the world, building out apps that will bring in millions of users to the XRP ledger. All of this combined definitely takes us to higher prices. $1,000 when? Well, everybody wants to know, right? Some people talk about $1,000 this year. That seems like a little far stretched out for me, but I'd love to be wrong. I would absolutely love to be wrong. If you guys want to hit me for being wrong about any target, I pray that I'm wrong about XRP going up to $100 or even $1,000 this bull run. I would I would be so excited to be wrong about that prediction, but we'll see. And what we're watching right now is the XRP effect, one data point after another, one example after another of what happens when you lean into the XRP community, the strength and the power on display once again with LinkLogis, a firm out of China, a public company out of China that's already partnered up with the BIS, I should mention. Their stock surged by 23% after announcing its partnership with the XRP ledger, a major bullish signal for XRP adoption in real-world finance. Now, once again, XRP to 1,000, we're talking about flipping switches at Swift. We're talking about ETFs. We're talking about treasuries, real world assets on chain, all this. Nobody mentioned supply chain logistics. Nobody had on their radar that the XRP ledger would be used for supply chain logistics. But this is a public company out of China that's now going to use the XRP ledger for supply chain logistics, and they're not even partnered up with Ripple. All these people that think that, you only come to the XRP ledger if you do a deal with Ripple and they give you a sweetheart discount on some XRP and they incentivize you to come to the XRP ledger. Wrong. These are public companies around the world. This one in China choosing the XRP ledger upon their own free will. Nobody's forcing them to go to the XRP ledger. And they're using it for a use case that nobody had their eyes on. More utility. Once again, you add all of this up, we're going to much higher prices, 100%. $1,000? Well, I'll leave that to you guys. Another top 10 inflow day for spot Ethereum ETFs yesterday, over 450 million. We now have 3.7 billion in inflows in August. When we see 3.7 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion flow into XRP and you slap on a 100x multiplier, which is very conservative, by the way, our multiplier is well over 100. We're seeing examples over 200, 300, 400, 500, 900, over 1,000x multipliers on XRP. Yes, I'm not joking. I'm not pulling that number out of where. I'm just giving you hard data that nobody's been able to refute either, by the way. I've been talking about this multiplier and people say, oh, this doesn't make sense. This is a lie. You're a scammer. But nobody has been able to actually refute the data. Nobody, right? And we're using conservative assumptions. Once again, these are inflows that we can see right now that came into Bitcoin and that are now coming into Ethereum. Now, are we going to be the most successful ETF ever? Are we going to have consistent inflows with what Ethereum's seen or somewhere in between? Are we going to beat, Bitcoin ETF inflows? Either way, these are all conservative assumptions. JP Morgan, once again, 4 to 8 billion is their prediction. Well, if JP Morgan's predicting 4 to 8 billion being conservative, if Dom, Phil say XRP ETFs are going to be the most successful, somewhere in between, we're talking about tens of billions of inflows into XRP. Being conservative with that multiplier, 3.7 billion in August alone into the Ethereum ETFs. XRP, you throw on a 100x multiplier to that 3.7 billion, you're talking about 370 billion of market cap growth on top of the 180 billion that we already have. You're talking about an asset that's approaching double digits with ease, which is why my prediction has remained the same, has not changed at all, that we go to double digits with ease next year for XRP. And it could happen sooner. Once again, I use base case, I stay conservative, simple math, conservative assumptions, and we're still going to double digits with ease. Either way you look at it. When you add up all the utilities, all the use cases, this public company out of this country, this crypto treasury company out of the States, and this really hasn't even started at scale yet. We have some commitments that have started to be made on crypto treasury companies that are going to be backing it with XRP, but that's only going to scale up from here. Supply chain logistics, nobody had that on their radar. You can now add it to the list of utilities for the XRP ledger. And yet, folks are letting short-term price action distract them from where we are going in very short order. Here's one look at the chart before we wrap it up. Zoomed out. By the way, we're still up 500% since the election. Is that a bull run? I think so, right? Zoom out of your 5-minute chart. What are you doing? Day trading? Why are you looking at the 5-minute chart, the 15-minute chart? Unless you're day trading, what the heck are you doing? Zoom on out. Oh, it went up 5% today. It went down 10% today. Zoom out. We're up 500% since the election. We are going to double up before the ETFs go live on my calendar. I wanted to call it on my chart right here. We invest in the inevitable. It's inevitable that the ETFs for XRP go live by October 17th. Going to happen, 100%. And with that, XRP should easily double, maybe more. My base case is a $7 to $8 XRP by the time the ETFs go live in October. So please stay locked in. No reason to go anywhere. If you want to consider some other opportunities, I think that you will have runners too. I think that Solana will run. I think that Solana could maybe even double up, between now and when the ETFs go live, right? And the inflows from the ETFs will bring Solana to a new all-time high. Once again, use this opportunity to hit your targets, take your profit if needed. But like I said, I'm trying to set this up in a way where I can sell as little as XRP as possible. I want to hold on to as much XRP as possible because not only am I treating it like a reserve currency, Ripple stated that was their goal in 2017. You're seeing crypto treasury companies doing it. You're going to see asset managers, hedge funds, and everybody else, once they can get access to the ETFs, they're going to unload on the XRP ETFs, and it's probably going to be the best performing ETF. Definitely better than Ethereum. Will we be able to surpass Bitcoin? That's the big question. And I think that's what folks are really underestimating. And those inflows, it's simple math, take us to double digits with ease. $50, $100, $1,000 XRP, I'm never going to say that it's impossible. As far as timelines, give us a few years. Give us a few years. Give us a few $100 billion in inflows, and you will be at a $100 XRP. I do think that that is inevitable. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you think. We are going to be here all week breaking it down for you guys, looking to wrap up the month of August here, and then I think we get bullish again into the beginning part of September. Stay ready for that. And anything else, drop it in the comments down below. Everything else is at ZachRector.com. I appreciate you for stopping by, and thank you for all your support. Okay? God bless you all. Thank you. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.